Before we start today's video, I wanted to announce that a game that I've been put on this semester as lead artist has been launched on iOS and Android. Merge Critters is a game where you merge cute little animals to become even more powerful animals in order to fend off the demon army. I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a try. Links in the description below. Now, on to the video. What's up, dears? Lehxra here. Today we are playing something new. And I decided to do something kind of new as well. So I don't actually know how long we're going to be playing this for. My max time is like an hour that I'm allowing, basically, like max allotted time. But, so we're playing Lake of Voices by GB Patch Games. It is a spooky horror kind of visual novel, and apparently you can die. So I am just going to go see how far I can get, basically. And if I die, then that's it. We're calling it quits. That's a wrap. But yeah, I'm going to see if I can get at least like an hour in. And then after that, I'll just play the rest like on my own. But just wanted to show you guys this. It's been out for like a little bit, maybe like a year or two. But yeah, and I think I kickstarted it. Maybe I probably kickstarted it. I like to, GB Patch, they're like a cool little indie company. I like following their stuff. So I'll also be playing XOXO Blood Droplets, like their latest demo. Yeah. So anyway, without further ado, let's start Lake of Voices for Spooktober. T key opens full text history. Turns, okay. So you'll need to make various decisions throughout Lake of Voices. Here are a few details to keep in mind. Certain choices are timed. I love timed things. Time running out isn't something to completely avoid. In some cases, not getting involved can open new possibilities. Other choices aren't timed. These options only determine whether Kika has any special affection for another character or not. If you survive until the second night, the story will branch into one of 5 different plot lines based on your earlier decisions. Other characters cannot manage all situations in the various plot lines regardless of what you do. If a character isn't making it, try getting that plot with a different set of survivors or having the same group of characters venture through some other storyline. Becoming closer to someone can add and or remove future choice options and change how some scenes play out. Your decision to build that connection may not go unnoticed by the other characters. Earning the full amount of affection with certain characters can require getting into specific plot lines. Yo. I feel like, I might get multiple people killed then. Okay, as long as I don't get like a dead end, then we can keep going. Like if somebody, as long as I don't die or I don't get like a dead end or something, then we can keep going. If somebody else dies, it's whatever. Yeah. My grip on my lantern tightens as the fog around us thickens. While the forests in this area are relatively safe compared to Sinlos, I can't help but feel my hair stand on end the further we get. My free hand fingers the hilt of my sword, something akin to a nervous reflex.
Have you seen it before?
Nope. Bamel breaks the silence, either sensing my unease or what that word is. Asuagi, I'm not even trying, his own. I hope it's the latter.
I haven't. I've had no reason to go near this cursed lake until now. What of you?
I did not know that it was fully voiced. Okay. I gotta make her thoughts deeper then. Since her voice is all deep and stuff. Okay, I can do it. But Mel scratches his chin casually, as though I asked what his favorite food is.
I traveled a long way around it once before. Not so pleasant. Something about it just frays your nerves. Although, even being near it is enough.
So I'm not the only one who feels it. A sense of relief hits me, but not enough to undo the buzzing of anxiety. The lake, sinless. Most try their best to avoid it all their lives. The hundreds who die attempting to cross its unearthly black water dragged to death by the creatures lurking within aren't a secret.
No wonder you were assigned this mission.
There are few who've had first-hand experience with the place, even if from a distance. He'll probably keep being picked whenever they need someone to cross, for however long he's with us. But Mel shrugs, bringing my attention back to the dark path before us.
At least we're taking the bridge this time. It'll only take 2 days instead of double that, and the sooner this place is behind us, the better.
It would be preferable not to risk it. But time is of the essence. We don't really have a choice.
One of our allied villages, Hemmer, is being harassed by brigadiers? A band of ruffians. We don't have many guards to send as an assist, only Bamel and myself. The least we can do is arrive before we are too late to be of any use. These kinds of squabbles happen often, but have to be put down lest they turn into a blood grudge or an all-out war. The last we've heard, neither option was that far off.
I can also see why they chose you to come out here.
I glance at Bamel, eyebrow raised. A slight smile plays across his lips.
You're always so calm and so serious. Nothing can get to you. You're the best choice they had.
A smile now tugs at my own lips. I would like to thank him, but that wouldn't be so calm and serious as he just described, and if that's how he sees me, I'd like to keep it that way. My lack of reaction only makes his smile grow, and he chuckles a bit before refocusing on the path. I do the same. It wouldn't be right to let my guard down in a place like this, but Mel appears to feel differently, however.
You know the town on the other side of the lake, though. It's not so similar to ours. If all goes well, perhaps we'll have enough time to enjoy the new area.
So when the demo came out, I remember playing a little bit of it. I don't remember if it was voiced, though. And I don't remember a lot that happened. I just remember, coming upon, the creature things from the lake. They're spooky. For the most part, I ignore him, nodding when applicable. But Mel is a talkative sort, and if chatting helps keep his worries down and his sword hand ready, I have no complaints. After a time, the thick fog surrounding us begins to clear. A slick wooden dock comes into view, and with it the sounds of water gently lapping at its sides. Bamel shifts beside me, stretching his lantern arm as far as it will go. He seems tense.
Someone's already here.
A young woman stands by the dock, eyeing us warily. Does she intend to cross tonight? Evidently, she has the same question. As we step up next to her, it's clear she isn't simply passing by. She's waiting. The stranger nods curtly to us.
Margaret.
I didn't ask a name.
Kiga the Steadfast.
Yes, I'm steadfast. Her voice deep as hell, though.
Bamele. Hello?
I've been saying your name wrong, sir. I am so sorry. Bemele. I'm not gonna remember that. I'm gonna keep saying it wrong, I know it. There's a stuffy silence. Margaret turns to gaze out across the lake, expression unclear. With not much to say, Bemele, and I do the same. From here, the black surface of the lake looks disarmingly calm. Wind rushes across its surface, a sound like whispering. Though perhaps it actually is whispering, I concentrate, trying to place the difference, searching for breaks in rhythm. After a few seconds, I feel foolish. It doesn't matter what the noise is. Whether I hear them or not, we're not alone. The Nixie are out there. A feeling that I can't quite shake tells me they've already noticed the little group of people on their shores. It feels hostile. My stomach sinks, and I instead address Bemele.
Where is the guide?
Unless he's on the center island, or on the complete other side, your guess is as good as mine. It's dark as pitch out there.
Panic rises inside me, panic I try hard to quell.
We can't cross without him, and we need to get going soon.
You can't cross with him either.
Okay. The woman behind us, Margaret, cuts in with something like a snort.
What?
I know the guide will be here tonight. I have already made arrangements with him to cross.
Bemele and I share a look. The woman seems haughty and willing to put up a fuss.
I have his word he'll take me today. It would be wiser for the two of you to begin the trip around if you're really in such a hurry. Or you can make camp here and wait for him to make the trip back if you prefer.
Hold up. I need voices higher. I don't need to turn my attention to Bemele to know he's riled up. I step in before he can say something rash.
Even if that is so, my companion and I must begin the trip tonight.
Margaret is unimpressed and opens her mouth to argue further.
We'll wait for the guide to arrive before coming to a conclusion about any of this.
She clamps her mouth shut, then lets out a sigh.
You can do as you like.
With the matter tentatively settled, Bemele moves away. His finger begins to tap loudly against the top of his hilt. I just realized, the pattern of, the shirt under his shirt. It's cute. He shifts from one foot to another, then groans.
What's that bastard even up to?
I almost visibly start, but manage to restrain myself. He probably doesn't know any better. I'm sure of that. It's not worth mentioning.
With a mouth like that, you shouldn't even have the right to ask the guide to take you across.
How ludicrous. He's faced far worse than a bit of foul language.
Do you know anything that's happened with this lake?
I know enough.
Margaret is clearly not convinced, but she shrugs and makes a show of turning her back to him.
The guide's father is Garvin the Exemplar. Garvin never accepted the guide as his son, all the way up until he died in this lake. Your statement could be seen as tasteless.
Oops.
Oh.
Bemele rubs the back of his neck, his face regretful.
My apologies to the guide. I didn't mean it that way. I never knew about his... that.
A smile spreads across my face when I quickly wipe away. He really did just misspeak. The silence slowly stretches between the three of us, growing more awkward with each passing second. Margaret seems irritated and Bemele abashed. Whose graces am I trying to get in? Girl, stop breathing.
I know you. You are brash but not intentionally cruel. I'm sure all is well.
Bemele smiles and claps me on the back.
You're a good woman, Kika. Smart, too. You've never been here, yet you knew more of the guy than I did.
I know about Garvin, truthfully. Tales of his deeds were some of the only stories my parents ever told.
Is that so? You could tell me more about it sometime.
I pause, unsure how to respond to this type of request.
I would like that very much.
Yes, I wouldn't mind that. It must wait until after this trip, though.
Of course. We should drop this topic sooner rather than later, in any case.
I mean, Bemele, you trying to get with me?
I agree.
There's another character. I don't know when we meet him, though, but not the crossing dude, but there's somebody else. I think I might be a little interested in him as well. If not, then sure, We'll go with this guy. Even if there's no harm meant, hearing someone mention Garvin, they totally said the name. I hope that's right. It's probably difficult for the guide, no matter what the circumstance. With the topic dropped, we each remain locked inside our own thoughts, not another word passing between us. Eventually, a small light appears on the bridge ahead, gently swaying through the foggy air. It gets closer and closer until it becomes apparent it's a figure carrying a lantern. That must be the guide, although I can't... Yeah, guide. What did I say? The crossing person? I'm dumb. Although I can't shake the ghostly aura it gives off. The figure steps onto the shore, but we wait for him to approach us instead of going to meet him. None of us are sure how close to the waters we can get before it is no longer safe. He stops in front of us and simply stares.
Are you the guide of Sinlos?
The man nods. He has a sharp face and weary eyes. They're very pretty, too. He's got nice eyelashes.
Well, that's grand. We would like an escort across the lake.
Emily motions the two of us, and Margaret approaches, a strained smile on her face.
Hello, it's good to see you again. I'm ready to cross, as we've agreed upon.
The guy turns to face her as well, face remaining unchanged. It must not be a lie. He would have had to say something otherwise. She really does have preference to travel with him. That's a problem.
Is there a way we can all begin the trip tonight?
Yes, I will allow all three of you to go. But with that many, at least one will die before we reach the other side.
Okay. I furrow my brow. It's a disturbing addendum, and one offered with little emotion attached. Emily glares back, without asking, what we're supposed to do with such circumstances. Margaret can die, I'm sorry.
You should go around.
We don't want to do that, that's going to take too long. The sentence hangs in the air, the second half unspoken, if you want to live.
We don't have time for that! There are people counting on us for protection. Why does she need to go?
He jerks a finger at Margaret, whose face contorts with anger.
I don't need to explain myself to you. My journey has already been put off once, and I was promised I could go today. I will be going under any circumstances.
Okay, girl, you just might die then. She meets Bemele's eyes with a gaze of steel. He starts to speak and she cuts in.
An extra day or two shouldn't be that much of a problem for you. Whoever you're meeting can surely wait such a tiny amount longer. Patience is a virtue, after all.
We've got like a whole town.
The night is only so long, and if we're still on the bridges when the sun comes up, we'll all die as they sink back below the surface. If you don't decide soon, no one will be going.
The guide is dispassionate, stoic. I would almost feel something's wrong with him if I didn't share the trait myself. Bemele pulls me to the side, jaw clenched tight.
That woman isn't armed.
His voice is low. He darts a glance at Margaret.
We can easily get her to back off if we make this into an actual fight. After all, we have to go tonight, yes? If one of us really is to die, it'll be her. Would staying be a worse fate than her death?
I stare at the dock, refusing to meet Bemele's eyes, and try to keep my voice as level as possible.
We don't know her situation. This isn't a decision we can make for her.
What?
Bemele leans in closer, apparently having missed what I said. I remove the sympathies for her in my response when I speak again.
The guide won't accept something like that, I assume.
His face is grim.
Then what else do you have in mind?
First of all, you and I cannot split up. Either we both stay, or we both go.
Right. That's not a question.
I cross my arms, a hand on my chin. I have full confidence in my abilities and in Bemele's, but there's no reason not to believe the guide knows exactly what he's talking about. If we go, he might not be able to give the group the attention we each deserve. That would mean we truly would be putting Margaret's life at risk on top of our own. We go in.
And I believe you.
Okay. Emily's reply is firm. My steadfastness seems almost weak in comparison to its certainty. He addresses the guide.
We shouldn't waste more time. Let's shove off.
Shove off. The guide slowly turns around, without even a nod to show his agreement. Margaret stares at Bemele and me, something of a resolve in her gaze. Then she follows after the guide. At least she didn't insist we stay behind.
We should do what we can to protect her. It's our fault she's being put in even further danger.
Exactly my thoughts. We will take care of everything. Maybe I'm being naive, but I have no intentions of letting anyone fall victim to this lake tonight. Those monsters can starve.
I mean, but if it happens, it happens. I smile at him for a change, and Bemele eagerly smiles back.
We're lucky to have each other in this, I think.
Oh. He turns to follow the others across. I will protect everyone on this trip. I will. We will make it through this. Ooh, I got an achievement. Then I step onto the dock and join them. So with this, I'm not saving either. So what happens, happens, basically. That's what we're going to do. What happens, happens. As soon as I step onto the wood, the temperature drops. The light of my lamp shines against the water's surface as reflective as a mirror. Until we reach land again, death is only one small mistake away. We fall into line with the guide leading the way. Margaret stays close to him and I behind her, watching to make sure she doesn't slip on the slick, wet wood. Bemele brings up the rear. Each of us hold our lanterns in front of us, but it doesn't look good. But it does little good. The fog is thick and nigh impenetrable, consuming the light as if hungry for it. Above the surface of the lake, it's deathly quiet. No longer is there the whispering wind, nor the sound of water lapping against the shore. It's just our own mismatched footsteps and the sound of my quickened breathing. My eyes drift back to the lake, against my better judgment. It's no wonder there's not even the sound of water. With how still the surface is, it seems almost sturdy, with the sheen of a black marble floor. I've heard rumors the water of Sinlos is heavier, more difficult to disturb than natural water. That's just the weight of its oppressive cling. Just the weight of its oppressive cling is enough to keep someone down, even without them. Something even darker than the abyss of the lake flickers just below the surface, or at least I think it does. I turn my gaze to Margaret's back. It's better to stay focused.
Fall back a bit. You're following me too closely.
Sorry. Oh, it's not me. The guide is looking over his shoulder, addressing Margaret.
I'm sorry.
If someone gets pulled into the lake, they'll instinctively reach for anything to hold on to. Do not let that be you.
Margaret's shoulders rise and she nods with great seriousness.
I understand. Thank you for the advice.
He ignores her gratitude.
You can speak amongst yourselves if you so choose, as long as you pay attention to where you're going. There is no worth in listening to the sounds out there. If there's anything at all, it'll only be Nixie trying to set you on edge.
All right. Then, could you tell us your name? You didn't have a chance to properly introduce yourself, and I've only heard you being referred to as the guide.
I don't have a name.
I'm sorry. Can I call you Bob? He's facing the front again, his voice as expressionless as before. I have no way of guessing how he feels as he says this.
Oh.
It's probably not something he wishes to talk about. However, there was something else I wanted to say, so changing the subject is not difficult.
Margaret, thank you for allowing us to join you.
Margaret shrugs non-committedly. Committally.
It wasn't exactly up to me. The guide said he would take you.
She hesitates and then she looks tentatively over her shoulder at me.
But thank you for saying that. It's appreciated.
Bemele and I will do our best to be an asset on this trip, rather than a burden.
That's nice. I'm not afraid to be out here, though. Still, at least with your training, you should be able to take care of yourselves.
It's comforting to know that everyone here is so confident in their abilities, not enough to forget how terrible it feels to be over this lake. I'm not sure if this is fortunate or unfortunate. Believing yourself to be secure doesn't mean that you are. As the conversation lulls, a new sound breaks through. It's the whispering noise again. It's the chatter of inhuman voices, and this time coming from all around us.
Taking care of yourself is exactly what you need to do.
The guide is speaking again, except louder, as if to cover the Nixie's voices with his own.
Work to survive at all costs, and hope that everyone around you has enough sense to do the same. That's the only way you'll make it to the other side.
Margaret nods in response, but I hear a grunt from behind me.
Groups tend to go further when they work together to achieve the same goal.
The guy doesn't say anything in response to Bemele's grumbling either. I'm not sure whether he didn't hear Bemele or whether he just didn't feel the statements made thus far are worthy of addressing. I have a feeling it's the latter. We go around a large bend in the bridge, part of it forking off to another way. I wonder how the guide knows which one of these essentially identical paths is correct when something in the corner of my eye catches my attention.
I believe I saw something over there.
Keep walking. No need to worry.
The guide's voice is calm and level. I decide against pressing the issue, not wanting to set everyone even more on edge.
What did he say?
Perhaps not wanting the conversation to be caught by the guide, he speaks softly, though I couldn't quite hear him because of it. Hello, sir, there's something behind you. I think I might make a decision, and you might die from it. I take my eyes off Margaret ahead. I take my eyes off Margaret ahead for a moment to explain it to Bemele and stop dead in my tracks. Only one word is able to escape me and my stunned state.
Behind
Bemele stands another figure, looming in the darkness. Seeing my face, Bemele grabs the hilt of his sword. He whips around, then staggers swiftly backwards. Several meters away, a crooked, twisted black figure hobbles its way towards us. Oh, I don't like that. Some kind of liquid drips off its head, curling around the edges of its face. It almost looks like it's crying. Bemele backs up until he's standing beside me. The figure continues its slow advance, head jerking from one angle to another.
What on earth?
Yeah, we need to go.
It's one of them.
Yes, Nixie that stumble across the bridges looking for opportunities.
The guide is standing next to us. I didn't even notice him approach.
The ones that can make it out of the water are generally referred to as prowlers.
I had no idea things like that were out here. Is that what Kika saw down the other path?
Girl, you didn't know? The guide says nothing, instead returning to the front of the party. Margaret watches him pass. Her frustration morphs into nervous optimism when something seems to come into her mind.
Well, Nixie aren't slowed down much by swords, but at least the light keeps them away, right?
Margaret's hand grips her face tight, and desperation bleeds into her voice. I bite the inside of my lip.
Direct light will force it to return to the lake. However, it'll try to drag the light, or you, down with it before it goes.
Instinctively, I reach for the hilt of my sword, despite the fact that it would do little to protect me. The prowler is getting closer, jerking forward, stopping, then resuming its slow advance.
Okay, does anyone have a light we can leave here? That way it won't follow us.
Only matches.
Bemele spits. He's the one bringing up the rear, so he's the one most likely to be in danger if it keeps following. The guide, however, moves forward.
Don't forget it's there. Don't let your guard down, and don't get left behind.
What? How am I supposed to keep walking with this thing at my heels? You said it wants to attack.
Don't give it the chance.
Bemele sputters in anger, and the guide summarily ignores him. I solidly grab hold of Bemele's upper arm.
Here, I'll lead you like this, and you can keep your focus solely on the prowler. Make sure it doesn't get too close.
Bemele eyes the guide with unresolved hostility, but allows himself to softly sigh in relief. He gazes at me with fondness.
At least there's someone I can count on.
Despite the fact I'm going against his advice, the guide says nothing more. It's clear now that he doesn't give a damn what we end up doing. Some part of me is glad for that. I want to help everyone make it through, and it would be worse to have to persuade the guide every time help was necessary.
Kika, thank you.
Bemele places a gentle hand on my shoulder. I'm just gonna nod. Bemele's face hardens in return. He moves his free arm down. I fully link his arm with mine, and now, properly settled, look forward. Margaret is following the guide with some reluctance, turning back every so often to check on us. I wave my lantern to signal we're catching up. Margaret returns her head to the front and quickens her pace. With a tug on Bemele, we start to follow them. The four of us continue cautiously over the bridges, only this time the wet, squishing footsteps of the prowler join the sound of our own. In spite of myself, I grip Bemele tighter. The prowler walks without a set pattern, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. It takes long steps, then short ones. At times, it stops walking entirely. Does it hurt to be out of the water like this? Or is it trying to be difficult to read? Suddenly, the whispering in the lake grows louder. I still myself, trying not to let it get to me. The most important thing in a situation like this is to remain calm. I can't lose my head. Then, all at once, I notice the guide and Margaret have come to a halt.
Bemele, they're stopping.
Bemele slows down as I do, and as we near Margaret's back, she says with something akin to distress,
There's another one.
I tug on Bemele and he understands. We draw up close to Margaret, ready to protect her if need be, but the guide holds out a hand.
Don't get any closer.
Just over his shoulder, I see another prowler stumbling towards us, white liquid dripping from its eyes. The guide's hand turns over in the air, palm up.
Give me a lantern. We'll throw it.
Margaret extends her own with a trembling hand. When Bemele speaks instead, his back still turned.
If you have to take someone's, take mine.
No.
Yes, an extra light won't do us much good when we're standing this close together.
I don't like that idea. Margaret takes Bemele's lantern from him, guarded relief displayed on her features.
Thank you.
She hands the lantern to the guide, whose hands grip it tightly, knuckles growing pale.
Stay here. I can't throw it too far. The light will blow out before it reaches the Nyx.
He steps closer to the monster, his movements light and confident. As he nears, the prowler starts to back away. Is it only the approaching light that makes it retreat, or are they afraid of him? The guide is far enough away from us that the fog is partially obscuring him, hiding his movements. The voices from the lake grow louder and louder. Water suddenly begins to splash across the lake, in the distance and onto the edges of the bridge. They want him to mess up. I don't notice how tense I am until Bemele eases my grasp on his arm. Then, suddenly, the guide takes multiple long and fast strides forward, throws a lantern, and jumps backward to regain the lost distance. Shh. There's a sharp hiss, and then a deep splash. The voices of the Nixie grow quieter. Not silent, but quieter. A sigh escapes me. Okay, but what about the dude in the back, though? He's still, like, approaching. Duh. A sigh escapes me, and the guide comes back to our group.
We should keep going before it comes back.
I glance at Bemele and realize he, too, is looking relieved at the guide before us. And then I see it. Aha! The first prowler, it's still there. It's right there. Oh, let's go. I shift around, pulling Bemele behind me. The prowler lunges after him, barely missing Bemele, but striking my lantern instead. The fire goes out, and the two of us are plunged into an unearthly darkness. Did I just get us killed? Then there's a slick splash. I realize the Nyx has retreated into the water. Somehow, Bemele and I are still standing. We're still here.
Kika, thank you.
I can't respond. Something cold, wet, and slimy has grabbed my ankle. Kick it. I kick my leg out as fast as I can, and the Nyx hold slips. It can't pull with the momentum I've gained against it. Margaret rushes to my side, her lantern hanging out towards the Nyx. No, we lost too many lanterns already. We already lost 2. We can't be doing this. The light brushes its face. We see it for an instant, its eyes wide, and then it slides back into the smooth surface of the water. Bemele grabs Margaret and I both, helping us toward the center of the bridge and cussing under his breath.
I only looked away for 1 second.
It's fine, Bemele. We're all fine.
Are you actually alright?
Margaret cocks her head down, examining my ankle, but there's nothing but a wet smudge against my trousers.
I am fine.
I say that, though I don't actually want to let go of Bemele. I need to in order to relight our lantern. Okay. We can still get light. Okay. And provide us actual safety, but I feel such a strong desire not to be alone in this moment. I shake my head roughly and let go of him, relighting the lantern as fast as I'm able.
Kika, thank you. Again. You saved my life. I won't let this happen again.
Yes. It would be good for all of us to pay more attention.
Margaret nods solemnly. Suddenly, it seems like we're all on the same side. It isn't only Bemele and I. She is with us in more than simply presence. The guide's voice, as cold as that monster's grasp, ends my train of thought.
We lost the lantern I threw. A Nyx grabbed it after the light went out.
I didn't expect to get it back. Margaret makes a noise. I glance over, wondering whether she's upset, but there's a small smile on her face instead.
It's better than them taking anything else.
A nervous laugh bubbles up out of me and just as quickly stops. Bemele chuckles in response, and our collective tension eases, the adrenaline draining from our bodies.
We need to keep walking.
The guide starts down the bridge again, and we join him. I try to clamp down on the relief, the ease that wants to flood my head. It's not over. The prowler is gone, but so is Bemele's lantern.
You can stay near me, Bemele, since your lantern is lost.
I appreciate it.
Margaret goes on ahead of us. Bemele stays by my side as I keep at the end of line. I don't want to take up the sticks. The breath of release for Margaret and Bemele is quickly swallowed by the somber atmosphere of Sinlos as well, replaced by the gravity of the near-death experience. Never mind celebrating his survival. Something like that shouldn't have happened in the first place. The memory of the prowlers reaching out towards us appears each time I close my eyes.
Why does it look like something's dripping down their faces?
The prowlers are on Margaret's mind too, looking at her pain expression. It's as though the moment of relief never existed at all.
I'm not sure.
Me neither. Something's wrong with them, though. They live in water. Air shouldn't be good for the things, but they want to drown humans so much they're willing to drag themselves around on land? It's not right.
Of course it isn't. They are monsters. They likely do not understand even the concept of right and wrong.
Well, I don't disagree that there's something very wrong about them. I truly, truly hope that's the last we'll see of the Prowlers.
Something comes to her mind, causing Margaret to end her part of the conversation early.
Since you two have to share a light, wouldn't it be safer to be in the middle?
Margaret stops and waits for Bemily and I to reach her position.
That way, you'll catch the edges of my light and the guides, and it won't be so dangerous if Bemele loses his position momentarily.
So you want to be in the back?
That's a very kind offer, Margaret.
Bemile's surprise is so apparent I want to cover his face with my hands to stop him from insulting her. She merely smirks. I think Margaret may be surprised with herself too. Bemele returns to his usual surety.
As thoughtful as it is, I, at least, am fine with bringing up the rear. I'm used to keeping watch for monsters, and since there are two of us, I can pay attention to the back while Kika focuses ahead. It's not my light, though, so I shouldn't be the one to decide what she should do with it.
Margaret and Bemele turn to look at me in unison. Seems like it's my decision. Neither of them are wrong. As for me, my goal is to protect everyone. I can't very well do that with Margaret following behind us. But being stuck in the middle of the group could also be dangerous depending on what circumstances we come across. Getting pincered by the enemy would be an almost sure death, no matter how experienced Bemele and I are. I just don't know what to expect from this bridge, and that makes things so much more difficult. I'd like to move up, thank you. Margaret stands slightly off to the side to let us pass, careful not to get too close to the water's edge.
Thank you kindly, Margaret.
I nod at her. Bemele and I position ourselves a few feet away from the guide, and in no time we've fallen into step in our new positions.
So, I don't want to sound like a child, but how much longer until we arrive at the halfway point?
You do sound like a child. You're whining. How much longer? Margaret chuckles, reflecting the amusement I don't want to vocalize.
We still have some ways to go.
Be sleepy.
Damn.
Just kidding. I suppress my laughter yet again at his pouting response. The gloom we've been under dissipates slightly, like light flickering through the fog.
The first trial tends to be the most difficult. I believe we will only react better from this point on.
I like the way you think.
Then a gleam enters Bemele's eyes and he grins.
I think Kika deserves a round of applause. Her quick reflexes are owed the utmost appreciation.
He leans slowly and softly into my shoulder, trying to get me to... What?
It was indeed a sight. You're quite capable. Bemele was also a sight, but for very different reasons. The way he froze with his mouth all agape was a laugh in itself.
Bemele shakes a fist at Margaret in mock anger and then shoots me an affectionate look.
You should know, she and I are usually on equal footing.
The only reason you had footing at all is because she pulled you back.
Bemele laughs self-consciously, scratching his head.
That's very true. You can always count on Kika.
I keep my eyes steadily ahead, unsure how I should respond. I'm pleased, almost grateful to hear what they think of me, but I don't know what I could say that wouldn't seem pathetic. Instead, I contribute the best way I can. I keep my focus on the path ahead of us. Without a response from me, the conversation quickly dies out. Still, it eases my heart to be on such friendly terms with my companions. It's strange in the middle, watching over the guide. Until now, I didn't notice how smooth his movements are. There's a sense of grace to his actions, even in the basic task of walking down a bridge. I have to actively stop myself from being distracted by it. Suddenly, I notice the guide seems to be getting further away from us. He's speeding up. I do the same to match his pace and end up moving at a light jog.
Guide, why are we going faster?
He doesn't reply, doesn't even look back at me. Instead, his speed almost doubles. I glance back, worried, but Margaret is keeping up with us. The guide keeps moving faster and faster until finally we're at an all-out sprint. The figures in the dark fog fly past us at a blur, and it occurs to me that branching paths on the bridge appear to be sinking. I swallow my rising panic. The guide shouts something, but it's drowned out by the frantic pounding of our footsteps. I'm trying to piece together what he said. Don't stop, turn. When he takes a masterfully sharp right down a different path, using his own momentum and the sleek wood to slide into the new direction with no loss of speed. Despite the sudden turn, my reflexes enable me to keep close behind him.
We're making a right!
Bemele is on my heels, following me to the turn. I glance back once more. Margaret, although further behind than before, also makes the turn. We're all still together. As the night wears on, our strength rapidly fades. Even my stamina is being challenged. I can't imagine what this must be like for Margaret. She's holding her side as she runs, clearly cramping from the exercise. Bruh, I would have just been left behind. I would have just been like, because I got asthma. I probably wouldn't have had my inhaler, so I would have just been like, y'all just go. Just go. I'll just die here. And I don't exercise either, so that don't help. How much longer will this last? People have to rest sometime. Almost as if in response to my thought, the guide abruptly halts. I skid to a stop as well, sliding on the surface of the wood.
Why did we stop?
Bemele's voice is tired, but his guard is up. The guy doesn't answer, just stares at something slightly out of view. I step up to join him, following his gaze further down the path. Oh, there he is! There, curled in a little ball, illuminated by the lantern's light, cowers a person. His hands grip his head, and he rocks from side to side, mumbling incoherently.
It's a man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't. I just couldn't. Please. I'm sorry.
I'm struck with an array of questions. What is going on? Why would he wander out onto these bridges on his own? Did he make it this far by himself? Were there others with him? If that's somehow the case, I can't blame him for the state of shock he's in. The man stops mumbling. He glances above him, seemingly only just now having the strength to lift his head. His expression, the deepest sadness, along with clear markings of terror, are scrawled across his face. I stare at him in shock, not sure what to do. Hold on, because the sun... Well, there was no sun. There was never any sun, but yeah, sunset is a thing. I don't know how long this light's gonna last for. I don't think this helped. I don't think it did anything. Oh well. I'ma just look hella dark. It's cool.
Leave him.
Okay. Bye, boy. Just kidding. I snap my eyes away from the man and instead to the guide's cold, implacable face.
No! We can't just leave him here! We've managed fine enough already, and these creatures will probably pluck him away as soon as we've gone. Without light, it's certain he'll die.
He won't make it regardless.
Oh. He can lead the rear. But like without the light. He can be in the middle with us. He can be closer to the guide. The guy turns to look at us, his eyes seeming to glow from the closeness of his lantern. For the first time, I feel uncomfortable in his presence.
Whoever shelters him will only risk dragging themselves down with him. Leave him.
I don't want to. I glance at the others. Bemele is outraged, but Margaret is staring at the man with something like fear. She's uneasy, but she doesn't voice her concerns. I'm trying to think of some kind of compromise when the guide speaks again, his voice cutting.
If the man comes, then whoever is shielding him will have to remain at a distance from the rest of the group. Far enough that you can't see me, just my light. That is how you will travel across the bridges.
Is it? That's a tough decision then.
I didn't agree to lead this man, and I won't. If you ask me to, I will leave you all behind.
Adrenaline surges through my veins and I tense up. It's a painful reminder that the guide isn't here to save our lives, but merely to show us the way. We're on our own. Margaret, Bemele, and I frantically share more looks between each other, trying to communicate without words. None of us have a desire to speak and be the first to make a choice. I want to keep him. But I'm not trying to be at the... Like, I ain't trying to... No, I don't like that idea. The man is standing now, though still hunched with his arms wrapped around himself, as if expecting a blow. He stares at the ground rather than at us. Because of this, I'm having trouble reading his face. What exactly happened to him?
Are you well, stranger? Do you know where you are and why you're here?
Yeah, stranger. Oh, he's cute. He glances up, not at me, but towards me, his eyes resting somewhere near my collarbone.
I'm fine. You all can go on your way. Forget you even saw me here.
Oh,
That's
baby.
absurd. You have no way to defend yourself. We can't leave you.
Yes, I'm sure in your eyes I might not seem like much, but that's not exactly a fair shake. Maybe in a perfect world, every man would be as large as you, but that's not how things always go. Doesn't mean I'm defenseless.
The man's response is meandering. The words themselves seem to be in good jest, but he's still barely looking at us, fidgeting with his hands. Bemele frowns, unimpressed.
It was a joke.
He smiles hesitantly, making eye contact with each of us for the first time.
What part of it was supposed to be the joke? Do you even realize what is happening in this moment?
Never mind. Forget that too. Point is, I'm alright.
You were curled up in a ball when we met.
Exactly. Something must be wrong with you.
Oh no, sounds like you've been talking with my father.
He lets out a weak little laugh, coupled with a eyebrow raise, voice trembling. No one really knows what to make of this. The man gives a small wave and begins down the path we came. Bemele huffs, tossing his hands in the air.
That's not even the right way.
It could be, if he's trying to get to the side we came from.
He must have come quite a ways if it was the other shore that he started on.
The man's smile grows.
Good. That's not so bad.
There's no response to this remark, unsure of what could be said.
I still think he should come with us. A person needs a light, and the guide himself said he won't be able to manage on his own. Sticking with us is his best option.
I feel like we should not be just standing here right now. Like, is everybody looking, like, around them, or are we just focusing on this kid? Because where's the guide? Is he walking still? Did he start walking again? I look over the man's body, noticing the scrawniness of his limbs. Scrawny, but not necessarily lacking in muscle. The bravado he was showing as he tried to leave us has faded yet again, and now he's standing quietly, looking at us as if watching a play. Interest, but no true connection to the events.
It's easy for you to say such things, but whose light are you offering? It's not mine, and you are putting her in even more danger with your own presence already.
Bemele looks at Margaret. She avoids his gaze.
Perhaps I could have let him share my light before, but the guide has said the one with him has to remain behind, and I simply wouldn't be able to manage it.
Bemele's hands turn into fists. He looks away but doesn't say anything. For a moment, no one does. I feel a cold sweat on my brow as what I feared comes to pass. He's stopping us from protecting another. Why must he get involved now? Why can he not leave us to make our own decisions?
You... Don't worry about me. I'll be on my way now.
The man's voice is full of something I cannot place, and he starts to shuffle back down the way we came, arms still clenched around himself. Margaret might not be able to take him, but there's another way this could be solved. I could stay back with him. Girl! No, we not. We ain't doing it. I'm sorry. I said I was interested, but not if it's gonna put me at risk, girl. It'll put Bemele and myself at significantly more risk. Yeah, him too. But at least this man will stand a chance. Put out a hand to stop him. Do nothing. I can't risk it. Margaret and Bemele stare at the man as he leaves. I'm sorry, guy. I'm sorry. We're sorry. We all watch him drag his little frame down the bridge, quickly fading from sight. We had to let him go. We've only barely been surviving so far. The space the man vanished into is dark and silent. We can see and hear nothing of him, not even his footsteps.
Maybe we should call him back? We can at least give him directions. Tell him what paths we've been taking.
I'm sorry, guy.
It's not going to make any difference. We can't give directions when the bridges we were on might very well have sunken away.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We shouldn't focus on what might become of him. He has his own path to follow, and we ours. We should focus on what we're doing now.
This light is dead. I need to change the batteries. Of course, it's not really a might, but we have to get through this somehow, and being weighed down with guilt will only distract us. The guide starts moving again at a quick pace. After a moment's hesitation and one last glance into the truly lifeless fog, we run to catch up to him. We walk onward in silence. Our party hasn't changed. The stranger was never added to it, so it's not as if it makes sense to miss him. But there's a sense of loss all the same. No one even attempts mirth. I keep thinking I should have done more, should have pushed the guide harder to change his mind, so it was less dangerous to keep the man around. Something. Anything. Well, damn, I'm sorry! But I have to let this go. I'm not going to forget that man. I'll never forget him, but we still need to get through this. Oh, he dead already? I curl my hands into fists, hoping it'll strengthen my resolve. Then I push forward. We turn down a different path, and the guide stops. Ahead of us stands a group of prowlers. At the sound of us, they turn their heads in unison, as if they knew we were coming. I inhale.
Not again.
The prowlers wriggle somehow, their skin moving more slowly. Their skin's moving? More slowly than it should, sliding across their skeletons. They laugh.
We already lost a lantern and it's only our first day. We can't keep doing this.
Yes, we can't lose a lantern at this point. We're almost to the island.
The guide rummages through his coat with his free hand.
What are you planning?
You got some light matches? Bemele's tone is borderline threatening, but the guide ignores him. He pulls out a small pouch, then opens a latch on his lantern.
Wait, are you going to throw that at them? What if the bridge sets on fire?
It will. We're going to run.
Yeah!
This is insane! These bridges are hellish enough without them also being on fire. And what about the other man? If he's still out there, this could...
He's dead. We're not losing another lantern.
Dang, it's been 5 minutes. He dead. He says it with such a detached certainty. It's as if he saw it happen himself. No one argues with him. Oh, I had to see what it said, but okay. Achievement. The guide steps closer to the prowlers. We fall into step behind him, staying close to his back. He bends his lantern back down until it is lowered to his outstretched arm. The pouch in his hand is set aflame. With a practiced flick of the wrist, he swings the staff back and up. The glass on the lantern snaps closed.
Don't get left behind.
Yes, sir. He takes 3 quick steps and tosses the pouch. The prowlers are back in the water before the pouch even lands. As soon as it does, the fire starts to lick and curl itself around the wood. We gotta go right now. The guide breaks into a sprint, and so do the rest of us. The blaze grows, despite the heavy dampness from the lake. These bridges aren't normal bridges. Of course, that's true. Nothing here is right. Hopefully, they won't collapse with the flames. We stay on the guide's heels, almost too close for comfort. If he stops abruptly, we'll all crash into one another, maybe even fall off the bridge. Then the world tilts. I was mid-stride when I put my foot down. The bridge isn't where it was. It lurches to one side, either because it was weakened or pushed. Emily and I managed to keep our ground, but Margaret falls to the ground. At least I thought that was what happened. She starts pawing the bridge. She ain't got no voice when she says this. My glasses fell off. I can't see. The guide, having regained his balance, presses on. He doesn't even bother to look at her. Emily and I run to Margaret, scanning the bridge, but there's no sign of her glasses. The flames are growing thicker and closer. The heat life-sucking, close enough to nip at her heels. I grab Margaret's arm.
Your glasses aren't here anymore. We have to go or we'll lose the guide.
Margaret squints up at me, face paler than ever. She nods and stands, and we start after the guide again. Our own storm of feet thunder across the boards. A silver sliver begins to rise into view, just above the edge of the water.
It's the island.
The island, I squint, and suddenly make out the craggy forms of land and earth. I see it. We're almost there. Safety at long last in sight. New energy surges through me. We push ourselves faster, longing to put these godforsaken bridges behind our backs. All at once, the bridge ends and our entire group rushes ashore. Earth, solid earth, a haven from the water. I catch my breath while still moving even further away from the dark shoreline. I can't believe we actually made it. Even more difficult is the idea that we're only halfway done. When night falls once more, we have to do it all again. A heavy arm falls across my shoulders, and I straighten to see Bamel smiling wearily at me.
Good work out there.
It's not the usual commendation of a job well done. There's sadness, perhaps even sympathy, in the sentence. It ends flatly. Usually Bamele's comfort and good nature gives me at least the urge to smile, but right now it feels like a hollow victory. He moves to face Margaret, who is squinting at the surrounding area.
Good work out there.
The statement is more energetic. He's not willing enough to show a lack of confidence in front of her. Margaret smiles slightly.
How are you doing without your glasses?
Oh, I'll manage. I have to, after all. I'm not completely blind, thankfully, so I can muddle my way through.
There isn't anything much to see out on those bridges. As long as you stay away from the edge, you should be as safe as you were before.
That's true. It will be fine.
And then the guard is the guard. And then the guide is there. He moves so smoothly that his steps on the soft sand are nearly silent, and his dusky clothes behind blend with the thinning of the night.
The sun will rise soon. The fire on the bridge is the only reason this island isn't overrun with prowlers right now. However, they could still pose a threat.
Is that why you decided to set the bridges on fire? To make the island safer?
The guide looks at Margaret for what I suddenly realize might be only the second or third time all night.
Setting the bridges alight isn't an uncommon strategy. It has many uses.
He walks away, Margaret frowning at his retreating form. Come, he says, with no voice. The guide takes us to an area a bit further inland, but not too far from the water. Trees partially obscure our location, and there's enough room to watch the coast in case prowlers start to emerge from the water. Essentially, it's a place where an ambush would be hard.
If any of you see anything at all, speak up. We don't want them to sneak up on us.
Almost automatically, each member of the group turns to a different location. Or was it direction? It was one of those. For a brief second, I feel a flicker of pride. This night may have been awash with misery, but we're still here for each other. As the sky continues to fade from pale purple to a muted blue, the waters stay silent. For the first time, nothing happens. It is a miracle. Suddenly, my chest is lighter and the air is fresher. The first pricks of light appear over the horizon, stinging my eyes after such a long journey through darkness. A sound catches my attention and I move my focus towards its direction. The guide is opening the latch of his lantern again. He gently, almost respectfully, blows out the light.
We no longer have to worry about the Nixie. It is over for today.
I'm almost unable to keep tears of relief from pouring out at those words. We made it through the night. We survived. No one feels the need to speak. We look at each other, and understanding passing between us. Then we find our own space, as comfortable as we can get, and lie down for the rest. We weren't sure we would ever come. And I'm going to end this playthrough of Lake of Voices right here. So, can I save? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I didn't let anybody die except for the... We don't count him though. We're not gonna count him. I didn't... Hey, it was either him or like us, I think. Because if we would have allowed him with us, I feel like we could have died somehow. Maybe. I don't know. Depending on like the quick time like event thing, whatever. But yeah, I'm probably gonna, when I go back through to play this like on my own, I might go and like not have him die. I'll try to keep him alive or something. So yeah, that was Lake of Voices. I hope you enjoyed this video, dears. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you so choose to, and have a great day. And I'll see you again, like, hopefully tomorrow or sometime soon. But hopefully tomorrow, because I think I'm gonna record a video like right after this. So yeah, bye.